Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. In today's video in the Logic App testing series, we're going to have a look at how we deal with the inline function that we've got within one of the demos. So over here, we've got this hello world workflow, and we've got this call to an inline function that's actually over in our in our helper project over here. So in the Logic App functions project, we've got this class that has the functions within it. So let's take a quick look at the function itself. And you'll see it's really the out of the box one. So we've got this workflow trigger code here. We pass in a zip code and a temperature scale. We implement some logic down here, and then it just returns a message at the bottom. So we return that weather message, and very, very simple scenario here. But what we want to do is when I do the testing with the Logic App unit test framework, my workflow is going to mock out the call to this function. So firstly, we need end-to-end integration testing, which is where you'll use the open source framework I have, where we can test the Logic App once it's deployed to Azure. But actually, there's another angle we need here, where we also need to unit test this function so that we know that it works before we start using it within our Logic Apps. So in this solution here on the left, I've got an MS test project, and we've got a class for testing this function. So let's have a quick look at what we can do with that. So in here, what I've actually done is there's a couple of things. So first off, we're using the Microsoft unit testing framework. We're using the Microsoft MS test framework. We're also using MOQ, so we can do some mocking here. So we're really in standard C# world. So I've got this green path test, and here you can see I'm setting up a mock logger because my function uses a logging framework, so I'm going to have to mock some stuff here. So I've got my logger, and then here I'm going to create my Logic App function class here, and we'll pass in that mock logging dependency. I'm then going to pass in the helper. I'll create a class, for the expected weather. I'm going to then execute my function. I'm going to pass in the zip code, and I'm going to pass in how I want my temperature to come out, so like what scale. And then further down you can see I'm going to do some assertions here, so I can assert that the zip code's as expected, so's the scale, and then I can work out what the high and the low would be, for example. So using this same approach, I can basically test any of the functions I'm going to build. So if you imagine the class I've got, I end up putting more functions in it. We put them in other classes, and we just do standard C# testing of those functions, but we don't need to have them deployed in func.exe. We can just unit test the C# code before it's all packaged up and deployed. And I think this should work really nicely for everybody to be able to get these functions rock solid before we start using them in the workflow. And I think the key thing as well is make your functions fairly easy to use. So you're going to either pass in a JSON object, or you're going to pass in some parameters that'll make it easy to backwards and forwards between the workflow and the function. So short video today, but we hope this is nice and easy to help you just build better Logic App solutions.